A Passage to India by E.M. Forster. A Passage to India is a novel set against the backdrop of British colonial India, exploring the complex relationships between the British and the Indians. The story revolves around Dr. Aziz, a young Indian Muslim physician, and his interactions with British visitors, particularly the curious and open-minded Adela Quested and the kind-hearted Mrs. Moore. The novel delves into themes of cultural misunderstanding, prejudice, and the difficulties of friendship across cultural divides. A pivotal incident occurs during an expedition to the Marabar Caves, leading to accusations and a trial that exacerbate tensions. Through its nuanced portrayal of colonial India, the novel critiques the imperialistic attitudes and highlights the deep-seated divisions and the potential for connection. Let's deep dive into the book. Meeting of Cultures. The novel begins with the arrival of Adela Quested and Mrs. Moore in Chandrapur, India. They are newcomers from England, and their purpose is to see the real India. They are welcomed by the local British community, including Mr. Turton, the collector, and his wife. Mrs. Moore, during a visit to a mosque, meets Dr. Aziz, a charming and enthusiastic Indian doctor. This encounter sets the stage for the central conflicts and relationships in the novel. Their meeting is significant as it represents the potential for cross-cultural understanding. The Bridge Party. To bridge the cultural gap, Mr. Turton organizes a bridge party to allow the British and Indians to meet. However, the party only highlights the deep divisions and prejudices that exist between the two groups. The Indians feel patronized, and the British remain aloof and condescending. Adela and Mrs. Moore attempt to engage with the Indian guests genuinely, but their efforts are largely unsuccessful due to the entrenched attitudes on both sides. The party underscores the difficulties of achieving true understanding and equality. Dr. Aziz's hospitality. Dr. Aziz, eager to impress his British acquaintances, invites Adela, Mrs. Moore, and their British friend Cyril Fielding to a picnic at the Marabar Caves. Aziz's invitation is an attempt to bridge the cultural divide and show his goodwill. Fielding, the principal of the local government college and a proponent of Indian-British friendship, accepts the invitation enthusiastically. The planning of this outing is filled with anticipation and hope for meaningful connection, but it also foreshadows the tensions that will arise. The Marabar Caves Incident. The visit to the Marabar Caves is the novel's pivotal event. Inside the caves, something happens that leaves Adela in a state of shock and confusion. She emerges accusing Dr. Aziz of assaulting her. The exact nature of what occurred in the caves is ambiguous and left to interpretation. This incident triggers a crisis, with Adela's accusation leading to Aziz's arrest. The event is a turning point that exposes the deep-seated racial and cultural prejudices in the colonial society. The trial. The trial of Dr. Aziz becomes a focal point for the racial tensions in Chandrapur. The British community rallies against Aziz, seeing the trial as a test of their authority and superiority. Conversely, the Indian community supports Aziz, viewing the trial as an example of colonial injustice. Adela's testimony is crucial, but during the trial, she realizes her mistake and withdraws her accusation, leading to Aziz's acquittal. The trial exposes the fragility of the colonial system and the deep divisions it creates. Aftermath and alienation. After the trial, the relationships between the characters are irreparably changed. Adela is ostracized by the British community for her retraction and leaves India. Dr. Aziz feels betrayed and becomes disillusioned with the possibility of friendship with the British. Fielding, who defended Aziz, finds himself at odds with both the British and Indian communities. The trial's aftermath emphasizes the lasting impact of colonial tensions and the difficulty of overcoming prejudice and mistrust. Fielding's journey. Cyril Fielding's journey is one of personal and ideological evolution. Initially an advocate for friendship and understanding between the British and Indians, the trial and its fallout challenge his beliefs. Fielding travels to England and later returns to India, reflecting on his experiences and the complex dynamics of colonialism. His relationship with Aziz becomes strained, symbolizing the broader difficulties of maintaining cross-cultural friendships in a colonial context. Aziz's transformation. Dr. Aziz's character undergoes significant transformation throughout the novel. Initially hopeful and open to friendships with the British, the trial and betrayal lead him to adopt a more nationalistic stance. He moves to a remote area in the Himalayas, seeking solace and a sense of belonging among his own people. Aziz's journey reflects the broader awakening of Indian nationalism and the rejection of colonial rule. Final meeting. In the novel's closing scenes, Fielding and Aziz meet again after several years. Their conversation reveals the enduring impact of the past events and their divergent paths. Despite their shared history, the two men acknowledge that true friendship is impossible under the existing colonial conditions. The novel ends on a poignant note, with Aziz and Fielding parting ways, symbolizing the broader divisions between the colonizers and the colonized. Legacy and reflection. A Passage to India concludes with a reflection on the lasting impact of colonialism and the possibilities for future reconciliation. Forster's nuanced portrayal of the characters and their struggles highlights the complexity of cross-cultural interactions. The novel suggests that while the path to mutual understanding is fraught with challenges, the hope for a more just and equitable relationship between different cultures remains. The legacy of A Passage to India lies in its incisive critique of colonialism and its exploration of the human capacity for connection amidst deep-seated divisions. Let's meet together the main characters of the book. Dr. Aziz is a young, enthusiastic Indian Muslim physician who seeks friendship with the British but faces betrayal and prejudice. His character evolves from being open and friendly to becoming disillusioned and nationalistic after his false accusation and trial. Aziz's journey reflects the broader Indian struggle for respect and self-determination under colonial rule. His personal growth and shifting attitudes highlight the novel's themes of cultural misunderstanding and the impact of colonialism on individual identity. Cyril Fielding is the principal of the Government College in Chandrapur and a proponent of friendship between the British and Indians. He befriends Dr. Aziz and supports him during his trial, standing against his own community's prejudices. Fielding's character represents the possibility of cross-cultural understanding and the challenges it faces. His ideological evolution and strained relationship with Aziz post-trial underscore the complexities of maintaining integrity and fairness in a colonial context. Adela Quested is a young British woman who comes to India with the intention of seeing the real country and possibly marrying Rani Hislop, the city magistrate. Her experience in the Marabar caves leads to her accusing Dr. Aziz of assault, a claim she later retracts during the trial. Adela's character embodies the theme of cultural misunderstanding and the psychological and moral challenges faced by individuals in a colonial environment. Her journey highlights the difficulties of reconciling personal beliefs with societal expectations. Mrs. Moore is an elderly British woman who comes to India with her son, Rani Hislop. She forms a compassionate bond with Dr. Aziz and becomes disillusioned with the British colonial system after the Marabar Caves incident. Mrs. Moore's spiritual crisis and subsequent withdrawal from the events around her reflect the novel's exploration of existential and spiritual themes. Her character represents empathy and the potential for genuine cross-cultural connection, contrasting with the prevailing colonial attitudes. Rani Hislop is the city magistrate of Chandrapur and Mrs. Moore's son. He embodies the attitudes of the British colonial administration, prioritizing order and authority over fairness and understanding. Rani's character highlights the conflict between personal relationships and professional duties in a colonial context. His strained relationships with his mother and Adela Quested underscore the impact of colonialism on interpersonal dynamics and the perpetuation of cultural and racial prejudices. Mr. Turton is the British collector in Chandrapur, representing the colonial administration's authority. He organizes the Bridge Party in an attempt to bridge cultural divides, though his efforts are superficial and patronizing. Mr. Turton's character illustrates the condescending and hierarchical attitudes of the British colonizers. His interactions with the Indian characters reveal the deep-seated prejudices and systemic inequalities inherent in the colonial system. Let's explore together the main themes and concepts of the book. Cultural misunderstanding. A Passage to India explores the theme of cultural misunderstanding through the interactions between the British colonizers and the Indian populace. The novel highlights how deeply ingrained prejudices and stereotypes hinder genuine communication and understanding. The failed attempts at bridging cultural divides, such as the Bridge Party and the expedition to the Marabar Caves, illustrate the challenges of overcoming cultural barriers and the misinterpretations that arise from them. Colonialism and power. The novel offers a critical examination of colonialism and the dynamics of power it creates. The British colonizers' sense of superiority and their authoritarian control over the Indian population are depicted through various characters and events. The trial of Dr. Aziz serves as a microcosm of the larger colonial justice system, revealing the inherent biases and injustices of the colonial regime. Forster critiques the exploitative nature of colonial rule and its dehumanizing effects on both the colonizers and the colonized. Friendship and betrayal. Friendship and betrayal are central themes in A Passage to India. The novel explores the fragile nature of friendships across cultural divides, particularly through the relationships between Dr. Aziz, Adela Quested, and Cyril Fielding. The accusations against Aziz and the subsequent trial strain these friendships to the breaking point, highlighting the difficulties of maintaining trust and loyalty in a context of racial and cultural tension. The theme underscores the impact of external pressures on personal relationships. Identity and belonging. Issues of identity and belonging are prominent in the novel, especially for characters like Dr. Aziz and Adela Quested. Aziz struggles with his identity as an Indian Muslim in a colonized country, seeking respect and recognition from both his own community and the British. Adela's journey to India and her experiences there lead her to question her place within the British colonial society. The novel examines the complexities of personal and cultural identity in a colonial context, highlighting the search for a sense of belonging. Spirituality and the unknown. The theme of spirituality and the unknown is explored through the mystical and enigmatic Marabar Caves. The caves symbolize the unfathomable and inexplicable aspects of life, representing the spiritual and existential questions that the characters grapple with. Mrs. Moore's experience in the caves leads to a profound spiritual crisis, while Adela's experience triggers the central conflict of the novel. The theme emphasizes the limitations of human understanding and the presence of the mysterious and transcendent in the world. Let's talk about the author. E.M. Forster, born in 1879, was an acclaimed British author known for his novels that explore social issues and human relationships. His works often critique the rigid class structures and colonial attitudes of his time. A Passage to India, published in 1924, is one of his most famous novels, lauded for its nuanced portrayal of British-Indian relations during the colonial period. Forster's keen observations and empathetic characterizations provide profound insights into the complexities of cultural interactions. His other notable works include A Room with a View, Howard's End, and A Passage to India, which continue to be celebrated for their literary and social significance. Sincere thanks for watching. If you found this summary helpful, consider taking a moment to hit the subscribe button, like or share the video. If you have any feedbacks or book requests, make sure to leave a comment. Regardless, I wish you a great day.